I'm Mike.
Yep, I'm Ray.
This is the Know Nothings podcast.
Because we know nothing.
Except we know how to sword fight probably better than these people know how to do this.
I've not been professionally trained as you have, but I think I pick things up pretty quick.
I wasn't professionally trained. Me and my kids took it for like 3 months, and I've just learned all there's like 7 different places. It's fairly not hard.
Yeah. I could beat these guys. Like, I feel confident in saying that.
They're doing this to look cool. Like the 2 swords coming at you like this. This guy right here, all he has to just come down right on top of her head, and if it's a lightsaber, it just splits her right in half.
That guy with the blue just did a spin, but when they get to the big dude, you got to watch him. He's sharp. He's so slow and methodical. He's just boom. I'm coming. I'm danger. Here it is, right here. Danger. I'm danger. Look, no hurry. And he had 2 swords.
The funny thing is like they're doing it in slow motion, but they're not in slow motion. Like, look, slow motion. Nobody's like getting after it.
So the podcast we were talking about with you at the Renaissance Fair, the guy that beat you, just tell me he was better than these cats, right?
He was better than these.
This
guy was the real deal.
He really was professionally trained.
He really was. I mean, he's got a whole booth at the Renaissance Fair. I'm sure he's not just there to smack swords around.
It's kind of his livelihood, right? Like, yeah.
It's kind of like what his deal is.
Yeah. So did you? You see, Ghislaine got 20 years today. Did you? That just came down.
I didn't see it, but you told me.
Yeah, bro. 20 years. I don't know if it's enough.
Probably not. If all the stuff that she did was true.
Well, it is true because she was found guilty by a juror of her peers, right? Like, it's definitely true. Do you think 20 years is enough?
I don't think so. I think she ruined a lot of people's lives, and that means her life. Is what I kind of think.
I say, if you're messing with children that are under 12, well, if you're under 12, I would just say they just hang you over the overpass if you're found guilty. I'm completely cool with instant death. And then if between 12 and 15, it should carry probably a 20-year sentence per offense. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how many offenses she had, but it should carry 25 years per offense, in my opinion. I mean, I think that's besides a murder for just the sake of murder, I believe child molestation of a child under 12 is the most heinous, disgusting thing a person could do.
So disgusting.
Like and I'm on the fence of if I even think murder's worse.
Mentally. A lot of people say that it's learned behavior too, though. Like,
yeah,
if
like
you're molested, then you molest. It's kind of like a...
Yeah, if you were...
But she was trafficking, right? Trafficking kids to an island.
She was facilitating everything for Jeffrey Epstein. Like, she's facilitating the whole deal. Like, she's as guilty as anyone. Now, what needs to come up now, though, they've got to get everybody on those flight logs. That needs to be made public record. We need to know who these people were. And I don't think everybody that on the flight log, everyone that flew on the plane, I don't think is guilty of child rape or child molestation or child trafficking. But I think it's worth exploring who is.
I think it is worth exploring.
Especially when you consider the names and the power of some of these people, which you can look it up yourself and see who they are. Because I don't want to say if you flew on the jet, you're guilty. I think that seems like awful un-American to say. If
was there anything rad else to do on the island though? Did it have like a kick-ass like skateboard park or like whatever it was? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was it like we're flying out to this?
Well, no, I'm saying if you flew on the plane, I don't know that just because you flew on the plane that I don't. If you went to the island, I don't know. Maybe are they conducting other business there? That's what I don't know.
I don't know. It's like a weird looking island though. You see how they?
Well, what if you're just like the innocent guy who's like, hey, Mike, like you're a rich dude, I'm a rich dude. You want to come to my island? And you're like, yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm not doing anything tomorrow. And you like get on the plane, except you don't know that I have children there, right?
You're on the Lolita Express.
Yeah. And when we get there, I'm just like, hey, man, that's like, so all these kids are yours. And you're like, whoa, fuck this. It's not what I'm into.
But you're on an island.
And you end up flying home and not telling or saying anything.
Right.
You know, I don't know. It's probably a lot more complicated.
That's a pretty good alibi, Ray.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good alibi. I didn't know what was going on, and I immediately flew home 4 days later.
Well, don't you think somebody may have went that didn't know, or you don't think so? You think they all? I mean, you think every single person that flew on his plane is guilty?
To the island or on the plane?
On the plane. Let's start with there.
On the plane, not to the island? No.
Okay, I don't either.
He's a rich dude. He has big guy in that world.
Another billionaire you want to get on his private jet probably happens all the time. But now if they go to the island, you're saying probably.
I'm saying if you're going to the island, it was probably discussed before you got there what went on the island. Right?
And you have a valid, like, what else would you be doing on the island? Go-kart racing?
That's what I'm saying. Was there something rad to do there? No. But it didn't look like there was any. I don't even think I saw a pickle court.
I don't think there was. I don't think there was anything. But anyway, I'm glad they got her 20 years. That's pretty cool. But we'll see we'll see if anything comes of the other names. I'm very interested in that. I was hoping that nothing crazy would happen, like just we end up not talking about it because we're talking about Russia, Ukraine, or we're talking about something else, or we're talking about Roe v. Wade, and everybody forgets about Ghislaine Maxwell. Kind of like Hunter Biden's laptop. Like we need to figure out what's going on with the laptop.
What was I going to say? There's other thing. Man, I forgot. I think it was something to do with her. But okay, so like here's the thing. I thought she was going to be deaded. But guess what? I think they were the top of the food chain. Him and her.
You thought she was going to be suicided?
Yeah, because but she wasn't, because I guess somebody had to take.
But he was.
End it. But he was. But the thing is maybe she's the top of the food chain, so there's no one to like suicide her because.
Oh, there's always somebody to suicide you. Right? Like you don't think you think she's the tippity top?
No.
Well,
here's the tippity top is the people that you flew. If you flew somebody on that plane to an island and like say they were like a president, like a Clinton or something, then they obviously have more power than you.
Yeah.
And you're schmoozing with them and you're telling them what's up and they're flying out there on purpose.
So was it Hillary and Bill supposed to be on the? Do you know on the log, or was it just Bill?
I don't know. It's the other thing is it's been dragged out so long we forgot about it and we got on with life. Like, wasn't this going on? All this talks and stuff were going on before COVID.
Oh yeah, like 2016 or 17. In fact, hell, I think Jeffrey Epstein, he went the first time. It was maybe 8 or 10 years ago. Where and they found he was not guilty, and he didn't even have to go to trial. But this time he went to trial, was guilty, died in jail, and they were hoping that would just squash it, make it go away.
So do you think that like all the things that have happened in the past same month were to kind of not have us watch this?
Man,
because
part of me feels like there's a conspiracy side of me that feels like that, but
so we had a lot of like we had the fun trial with the pooping in the bed and all that, and then we had the January 6th hearings.
Yep,
and then this slides in under the radar.
But I mean, I think all those were important stories. I think the January 6th was an important story. I think the Johnny Depp Amber Heard was an important story, although it got silly with like the pooping in the bed, but it was an important story about domestic abuse and about men suffering domestic abuse. I don't know that they were, but they did receive way more press. But these child rape cases don't ever get press, really. They never get press.
Really don't. It's so odd.
It's almost like, it's not almost like, it is like nobody gives a shit about the worst thing.
Right.
Right? Like, that's so much like domestic violence, bad, but child rape, so much worse, right? Starting an insurrection, very bad, but still child rape is worse. Child rape is worse, especially on that scale, that many. So, but I don't know that they were distracted because they were.
And what they hit us with, so we wouldn't really think about.
Well, then we had the war in Ukraine.
What? No, what was the thing? Everybody.
Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, Roe v. Wade.
Yeah. So Roe v. Wade. What's your? There's so many opinions on this.
What's my opinion?
No, it's like
shit.
no. That's a big one. You can't even say that, right? Because people are acting like the thing with these big issues to me is it can't really be. It's hard to get it down to like a bumper sticker size, right? Like because it's this didn't overturn Roe v. Wade, where there's no more abortions, just no more federally legalized abortions. It's just giving the power back to the state. It was a poorly written law, some scholars say. I don't have an opinion one way or the other on that, on whether it was poorly written or not. But some scholars, including Joe Biden, if you call him a scholar, has said that it's a poorly written law and that it was going to be overturned at some point just because of the way that it was written. But it does when you had all these states that had the trigger laws that wouldn't affect, like Louisiana, that makes things a different conversation because all of a sudden they don't make any concessions for rape or incest, right? And federally, could we not have a conversation about what that looks like and what, hey, maybe we could have federally legalized abortions for these reasons. Maybe they can write a new law. I think it's a bigger discussion than just, well, your side did something that my side didn't, so now the world's going to go crazy. I don't know that the world's going to, just like if they had common sense gun laws, I don't think that means they're coming to take everyone's Red Ryder. I don't think if they implemented background checks, all of a sudden, they're taking all our guns and we're at civil war. Just like I don't believe if they give the rights on abortion back to the states, that the next thing you know, they're taking away every rights and we're back living in 1845.
I think they have to take our rights away slowly, generation-wise, because each generation gets more used to not having as much freedom as we've had.
Well, yeah, because we don't have as much as we had 100 years ago, or 50 or 20.
20 years ago. And we ask for it too, because the freedoms that you don't have, you don't even know you gave away. Like this thing right here. You walk around with this in your pocket, and it has tracking on it. It has cameras on the front and back. It has microphones in it. And put on your tinfoil hat. But all I'm saying is like they say, oh, well, we don't look where you're going or whatever. But that's bullshit. That's 100% bullshit.
Yeah, they track
this LiDAR thing on the back. This thing's called LiDAR. And what it does is it augments 3D reality. So what it does is every room you take LiDAR into, and if you're on your phone walking around like this, it scans every part of your room and creates a 3D render of where your living space is.
And then that gets tracked and that gets put into
that goes into a database, and they know exactly what's in your house or what's going on. They really do. That tinfoil hat morning, but like just that's what that does.
The cell phones are definitely tracking devices. Anybody, I mean, you get on any social media, you know that as soon as you're talking about something, today at work we were talking about, of all things, a belt on an oven, right? And so you always get these advertisements for like these different things that we might buy, like Amazon. So I get on Facebook, and literally I had an advertisement from Parts Town for parts for the oven that I'd been talking about. A commercial advertisement for the exact part that we were just talking about. You
can turn that off on your phone.
I know. How do you do that? Settings?
Yeah, you can turn it off on your phone. I could walk you through it, I guess, if I looked at it, but I haven't, because
I haven't either.
It's really funny because I'll be like with one of my friends that does like a specific job, like say non-destructive testing and NDT work, and they talk about these machines and stuff, and they'll be like, well, the simulator, blah blah blah, to the blue, and it's like talking all this stuff about like these weird machines that they use.
Yeah.
I'll go on my phone and be scrolling through it, and there'll be all these machines on my phone from what my phone heard them say.
I think it's neat too. That's why I probably haven't turned it off.
That's why I haven't turned it off.
Like you and I were out earlier today. We were out at your house today. We were listening to part of the Black Sabbath Sabotage album, right? We were talking about how great it was. And when I came in, when I was waiting while you were getting everything up, I get on Facebook, and what's the first ad? Not a Sabotage ad. It had a different Sabbath record. It said, "Some say Sabbath Bloody Sabbath's the best Sabbath album ever written. Have you heard it?" And it was the person on the vibe. Of course I've heard it, but I'm like, but it's like, oh well, he's already got that album, so let's sell him this new album. And it was a shop now button.
That's and there's nobody. The weird thing about it is there's no person doing that. It's a computer doing that, which scares me a little bit.
Yeah, it's wild though.
Like it knows us better than we know ourselves. I'll be scrolling through like Facebook, and I go on Facebook like once a week and scroll through and just
catch up.
I have a couple people that I like to see what they post because they post funny stuff and they're not too serious or they don't have meltdowns or whatever.
Yeah, so just like me and three other people that
you and two other people, and those two other people are people that I just met a couple years ago. Yeah. But like. So I'll scroll through it and I'll see somebody post and I'm like, well, I like that. And I go to hit the like button and then I'm like, I don't want to be put in this box and let the system know what I like and what I don't like.
So you won't like things because you don't want the algorithm to get too hip to you?
Yeah.
I never thought. I mean, I know that they do that, but I like everything. Like I'm like, oh, I like all my anything cool. I like it. Any of my friends, I like it.
I always like think twice, and I'm like, do I want to like this? They're gonna put me in.
You should fuck with them. You should fuck with them and like stuff that you don't like. I'll start liking all this radical political shit. Like, just build up a whole algorithm of something I don't want. So I just get this whole. But that would. I mean, it'd be funny, but it would be.
The funny thing is, I've actually thought about that to do that, but then I don't want to be put in those boxes. And it's it's like you'll see somebody post something that's funny, that's political, right? So I'm like, no, I'm not gonna like that because
I do that.
I think that they have like a whole. There's a whole thing on me and you and everyone else where we have this huge file because you got to remember, like, Facebook is the biggest CIA information gathering of all time. You gave them your religion beliefs. You gave them your entire friends list of people you've ever known. It's a cream dream for the CIA, right? Yeah. It's just intelligence. You've given them. Then you even started posting where you're eating and where you're going and where you work and where you've worked for the.
Your whole work history, your whole school history.
Everything. It's like the greatest information gatherer of all time, and the CIA are just sitting over there jerking it to it. It's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, I feel like everybody has everything on everybody, right? Like, is there any secrets anymore? Is there, like, it doesn't matter. I guess what I'm saying, I don't even care anymore because I feel like they have everything on me. I'm so Google, like, if you Google me, and I'm no one, but if you Google me, it's just going to come up, everything, I've ever said, posted pictures.
It doesn't really do that anymore. If you have something, I think, on your Facebook page that says not to put your information in a Google search, like if you search, like,
I'm not saying just Facebook. I'm just saying in general. I think in general, over the past 25 years of technology,
I can find out anything about anyone.
Yeah, you'll know. You can find out where I lived, where I went to school, where I worked, who I have friends with.
You can pay $1.99 on, like, if you put in somebody's name or their address and you click it. It goes to all these pages where it's like, hey, pay us $1.99 and we'll give you all the information on them that we know, which is everything we're searching the internet for. So you get all their past residences. You get, and it's just like, this seems illegal. And you get all their public records, which you could look up anyway, but they're doing everything for you. Yeah. It's like $1.99. That's all you got to pay. And it's like, well, anybody could be like a PI now because you just go on the internet and you just search, and you can find out things. It's easy. You can find out who's owned every property, every house on all these websites, and then you can look and see. And then right beside it, it says people that they are related to. Boom. And I just don't like that. It's too much. It's like too much stuff.
But you're out there anyway. It's all, I mean, I know it's too much. I agree there's too much. But at this point, we've put ourselves so much out there over the years. There's no going back at this point. I can't go back.
There's no going back. What information you're on there is on there forever. I'm a little computer savvy for the 90s anyway, and I've taken pictures off of the internet for friends that didn't want pictures on the internet.
Oh, really?
Google, yeah. There's a way to do it.
Okay.
And, like if you do it, like Google's the biggest one, so you just hit Google, and then there's like steps you can take to get pictures off of Google.
Well, that makes sense because, yeah, I mean, obviously,
they don't want to be sued over anything.
Yeah.
So you say, hey, this is so-and-so. You click it and you say, this is my blah, blah, blah. And then they just take it off because they don't give a shit. There's a billion pictures.
Yeah, they don't care.
So you could go on there and say any picture and they would pull it off the thing. The only thing about that is somebody that cares has taken that picture and they've saved it and they've put it on their hard drive and somebody's put it on their hard drive. So there's no telling like where it all ends up because you can never really get rid of it.
Yeah, I guess I hope I just don't. Nothing ever happens where I need to be investigated by the sea because I mean everything's out there for everybody.
I've never done anything wrong ever. I really haven't. I've lived in such a bubble my whole life. I've worked my ass off. I've just been a ghost in every town. That's what I used to say. Like I was driving truck. I was driving like all through my 20s. I drove truck entirely through my 20s into my 30s. Driving a semi truck, and I was just in every town unloading, going here, unload, and I was like, I'm a nobody in every town. I'm like a ghost.
Yeah, then you're just showing up and then pulling out.
I just haunt the places I haunt in those towns, and that's places where I deliver stuff.
Yeah,
and I leave. And I like the funny thing is over like 15 years of doing that with people. The people that you interact with when you deliver stuff, you become friends with those people.
Sure.
And I miss that kind of part of it.
Yeah.
Driving because like I knew the guys that like ran the shipping or did this in all the places I went to for 15 years.
It's got to get old though, huh?
I like driving.
Yeah, I know you
I
do.
like being out and about. I like driving. I'm a good driver, so it's like I've never been in an accident. But like a lot of people are in accidents.
You've never been in an accident truck driving or in your regular vehicle?
No, in a regular vehicle I have been.
Yeah.
This one time I was coming home from Shreveport, and I was listening to some Tool, right?
Yeah.
I'm listening to Tool, and I was about to go out to the movies that night, and like I'm coming home, and I get off on my exit, and the roads obviously in Louisiana they're not great.
No, yeah. That's an understatement. Yeah.
I'm in like a Dodge Dakota, and I'm driving down, and I've got my amp in the back of the truck, and I've just left Shreveport because I've been jamming with somebody, and I'm like coming back, and I'm doing like 80 miles an hour. And I dropped my tire off the side of the road, and it blew. And I got sideways, and then I got and then all my tires blew. All of them blew. And I must have slid down the road back and forth like this for like what seemed to be a mile, but I'm pretty sure it was probably like
100 yards. Yeah.
You know. And
4 tires bust? Holy shit.
I come off the road, I hit, somebody had cut a tree on the side of the road. There was a stump, and my axle on the front, my front axle broke in half.
There was a tree in the road?
I went off the road.
Oh, okay.
And there was like a cut tree, like it had been cut. It wasn't a whole tree. And I hit it, and my front axle broke, and my tires came out like this, and it was a stick shift, and I was like, as I'm doing this, I was like downshifting, trying to like get control of it and slow down.
Yeah.
And then like when I hit the thing, it stopped, and I broke the handle off in my hand, and I was sitting there holding it like this. And the airbag came out and everything. That's the only accident I've ever been in.
That's a doozy.
And if that tree wouldn't have been cut down, I probably would have died. Because, like, it hit and broke the axle and bounced over that.
What happened to your amp?
My amp in the back went out into the swamp about 50 yards, and it was fine. I used it. Like, it went out, and I went
in the swamp? Like, in the water?
Yeah, it was like... swampy area with water and stuff, but it was like...
but the amp wasn't hurt?
I used it... Well, it was a cabinet. It was a 4x12 cabinet.
Yeah.
So it still worked. It's the same when I got a line.
The truck was fucked, though.
The truck was done.
Yeah.
It was done.
It was the total, right?
It was total, completely. And the...
That's the same truck that your dad, when you put the guitar case, he said, the truck is ruined!
Ruined! No, I really...
You really... This is ruined, Dad.
This is what ruined looks like. Got some scratches in the back from that same amp, by the way. But
was it the same amp?
Yeah,
from the dad story. Oh, that's funny.
So, but yeah, so like that. So back to the driving part. So like I'm just driving all the time, you know.
Yeah.
Making money, you know, having a family and all that, and I just felt like I never belonged anywhere.
You really don't. Y'all are like nomads when you're driving like that, huh?
Yeah, like I know dudes that own just property and not a house, and they drive for like 2 months straight, and then they go to their property and live in their truck.
Well, my uncle does that.
They're building a house, but some of them just live.
My uncle does that at our property. My uncle, so he's a driver, so he's home right now. So right now his truck is just parked in front of on our road. So my house is here, about 8 or 10 acres up. My parents' house is there, and we have all the property on this road. And his truck, he's just in town. He just pulls his truck up on our property, sleeps. He'll come visit with us, hang out for a little while, and then it'd be like about 7 o'clock. He's like, wants a cigarette, and he goes and sleeps in his, goes and smokes some cigarettes and sleeps in his cab. That's his house. He does not have.
There's a lot of truck drivers.
It's perfect
there that live like that because that's how they want to live.
It's perfect.
And it's perfect. It really is
he has no mortgage or rent.
Right. It's like these people that are now moving around to like these Amazon places, like these older, I think that like 40s, 50s, 60s people are buying campers and these like they're spending like $250,000 on one of these Mercedes van Sprinters and stuff like that and decking them out and living in them, and all they do is they go to Amazon places, Amazon fulfillment centers and work and live there in their van or their camper or their...
you can live...
A whole bunch of people are doing that.
You can live at the fulfillment center?
Well, I mean, I don't know if they're living at, like...
but they just...
outside and parked in the...
that's what I was at.
Like, maybe on the road next door or like a truck stop or something.
Well, I know a lot of people are doing... man, we talked about the housing market a lot, but you're seeing a lot of people go into... Trailers are going to get huge. Tiny houses are going to get huge.
Houses.
I mean, tiny houses are going to be the new, because even a single wide right now is going for like 120.
I was looking on the coast. I like to look at like houses all by the beach because one day I want to buy a house by the beach.
Yeah.
And live. And I saw like 6 tiny houses built in a row in the Gulf by like Pensacola. Mm-hmm. And it was like $300,000 for a tiny house.
Well, Elon's building those now, right? Have you seen his? Elon Musk's new company? He builds these homes fully furnished. They show up, they're like 18-inch concrete walls, beautifully done interior, fully furnished. You get a bed, recliner, couch, television, refrigerator, stove, oven. They come to where do you want us to come? Okay, we'll come right here. Boom, we'll set it up. They set it up that day, plummet the next day. $50,000 furnished.
Why is Elon Musk doing that?
He owns the company. He started this company.
What company is it?
Oh gosh, you want me to have to? You make me gonna have to Google it.
Google it because he's into everything. He's into going to Mars. He's into
Elon Musk House Company.
Everything.
This is his new venture because he sees what's happening with the market. So he's selling 50 boxable. These are them little boxables.
Oh my gosh, that's tiny.
Yeah, but they'll show up like this. It shows up like this. But then if they get to the inside, yeah, you can see the. I wish they.
Oh wow! Here's the thing.
So there it is. Here's the interior.
I could live in something like that if I lived like beside a body of water.
See you see the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then so you get everything. You get the stools, the bar stools, the refrigerator. You don't have to do anything.
Oh, it's like bar stools and everything.
Bar stools, chairs, tables, refrigerators, stoves, ovens, house, everything.
When's he gonna start giving them away for free?
The $50,000. That's pretty close
That's pretty damn close.
Consider. I mean, just
people buy vehicles.
If you just think about just the appliances and couches and beds and stuff adds up to probably $5 or $6 easy, maybe more. But he's probably found a way to scale it and do it for.
What's he doing?
What do you mean?
What's he doing?
He lives in a boxable.
I'm just saying, like he does all this stuff. What's his deal? What's he up to?
He's our. I think he's our Thomas Edison of our generation.
That's a good description.
I mean, I think he's
not this guy right here with the swords.
I mean, Elon, you can love or hate him or whatever, but I show me someone doing more. Show me someone smarter. Show me someone more driven. Show me someone accomplishing more, getting more done, adding more value.
I know. He said he slept at the Tesla plant on the floor on the couch.
Well, now he lives in one of his boxables at his at SpaceX at the facility.
What's he doing?
Or why is he doing?
Why? No, what and why? Like why?
I think.
Why is he doing? What's he gonna do later?
I think he wants to. Man, I think
he wants to be the emperor of the world.
I think that's the thing. I think that makes Elon enduring. I think he wants to do good. Doesn't he seem like he wants to do good?
He does seem
not like an evil billionaire.
He's kind of a smartass too, which I really like because of his Twitter stuff and all that. But he is kind of a smartass.
A little bit socially awkward, even.
Socially awkward because he's so smart.
Yeah.
Obviously, super smart.
Obviously, yeah.
The other thing he does though is when he recognizes that he's not. Here's something that really smart people do is when you're in a field and you want to do something and you know that you're not as smart in that field, you go find the guy.
And listen.
And hire that guy. And he's done that. Because people are like, oh, you didn't build the rockets and you blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, but I hired the people that did and I have ideas and then we make those ideas happen.
Yeah, there's a confusion with that, especially amongst a lot of people. They think that someone has to know how to do a job in order to be the boss, right? That's not really how it works.
Well, even down to say running a shift at a food place. It's oh, so and so and so and so and so and so is working. This shit's gonna be banging. We're gonna knock this out.
Yeah, just anything, anything's like that. But
you get the right.
But the boss doesn't have to. The boss doesn't have to even know. The boss wouldn't have to necessarily know how to. He doesn't have to know how to make the light bulb or make the taco. He just has to know how. But if he knows how to lead people and get the people that do know how to do those things and want to do those things, that's how success is done. It's not about
And then he takes the taco and he sells it to everyone on the world.
Yeah, the boss.
That's what he does.
The boss doesn't have to be the best bricklayer to know what bricks look good, right? That's just not the way. Now it helps if I guess it helps if you get your hands dirty and do things like that. But Elon seems to do that, right? Elon seems to you're not working harder than him either. He's not just smarter than everybody in the company. He's also like
working hard.
Well, you can't be like, well, that he's golfing all day, which he could be. He could be doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Has he bought Twitter yet? I'm behind on this one.
No, he still hasn't. They hadn't sealed the deal.
Is it because, like, I heard something about how he wants them to produce, like, how many people are bots on this thing? Like, he wants he wants a membership. He wants to know everybody, which also throws a red flag on my tinfoil hat thing. It's like he wants to know who all the real people are.
More data mining.
More data.
Maybe Elon's on top of the data mining. Maybe he's the real cyborg that's out to get us. Maybe it's not Zuckerberg. Maybe it's Elon.
It's both of them.
Maybe Elon and Zuckerberg.
It's not Zuckerberg. It's the CIA, man.
The CIA who made.
I sound like that crazy guy who's like, see it. It's the 70s. Like in the 70s, you got the trench coat guys like, it's a CIA, man. Like they're coming after you, bro. They want to know about what you're thinking.
They kind of do, though, right?
They do.
They kind of do.
Deal.
The funny thing about conspiracy theories is how many of them have turned out to be true over the years. Or like,
I know.
Like you're like, well, like I don't know. Like, is it like? It's only a conspiracy theory. You're just crazy, and then all of a sudden they're right, and everybody kind of doesn't talk about it anymore. Like.
Pretty crazy ones.
Like the JFK conspiracy that it was the CIA that murdered him. Well, yeah, clearly it was. Martin Luther King, the conspiracy that's the CIA that murdered him. Yeah. That's what happened now. And now it's like
it's the most logical thing after so much time you go, oh, this is how they operate.
It's accepted fact. So, and then when you would say 15 years ago when people were, and they were saying it 15 years ago, I remember 15 years ago when people were saying, there's this crazy billionaire who's flying celebrities and politicians and kings and princes out to his island and having wild sex orgies with children. People were like, that's so ridiculous.
Yeah,
that is
so dumb.
God, would you look
Nobody does that.
Yeah, I'm so sure, like billionaire and other billionaires, they're just raping kids. They can have any woman they want. I'm telling you, man, it's happening. Here's the island. Here's where they're going. This guy's, and so you're just
now we're here.
You're all crazy, and then all of a sudden it's happening in real life. It did happen. The people that were saying it weren't crazy. So I say, like, it's gotten to the point where we've gotten so unraveled that nothing seems too crazy for me.
Even the flat earthers. You know why it's not? So
I even
crazy?
said we talked about flat Earth, though. I even said, like, hey, look, I know they have some compelling YouTube videos, right? Like they do. There's people that put some time into some good content to convince you.
Somehow anybody can make science work in their favor. And in JFK the movie, Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
He has, the lawyer says in the movie, science can make an elephant dangle from a cliff by a weed of grass. Yeah. And it's like you can make that happen, with science. So like all of these things with like flat Earth is like these guys, they have all these like that makes sense. And when a normal person that doesn't have a degree in whatever, physics and biology and all these things, and they say these things, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Well, it's if you have a really smart person who's articulate and they're using words that you don't quite understand or using concepts you don't quite understand, it's like, I liken it to the stock market and to legal terms. So lawyers can write things in such a way that you don't understand it. So even if it's complete horse shit, you're just like, that's got to be right. It's because it's obviously written by an intelligent person.
A person that's intelligent. Do you want to know my theory on flat Earth, round Earth?
Yeah.
Okay, here it is.
You told us, I think, or is this a new one? In episode 1, did we cover?
Well, nobody's watched that.
Okay.
So, like, it's neither flat nor round, which is why the data.
Oh, you didn't cover this. This is your theory?
Yeah.
This is really your theory?
This is really. It's neither flat nor round. It's neither, because we're living in a simulation that simulates anything that we see and turns waves into hard material. What do you call it? So like the double slit theory.
Now I'm on board with the simulation theory.
Think about what
I can be convinced.
You know what the double slit theory is?
No, talk me through it.
I'll try and talk you through it.
I probably know some little bits.
So the double slit theory is they shoot photons through like two slits, and it makes a wave, and it just makes two slits in the back.
Yep. Okay, I have heard this. Okay.
Waveforms go through it, and they make a wave pattern, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When you have two slits, it does 8 or whatever the math is. You murder me in the comments. But like then when they took and they observed or measured how many photons by observing were going through, it didn't make the wave pattern. it made the other pattern. So it's like the act of observing waveforms turns waves into
solid
material.
matter.
Solid matter, not waves. So like that right there proves to me that either we're living in a simulation or reality is just that.
Yeah.
Or reality is just that.
Now I'm a simulation guy, but how did how did the simulation happen?
Back to like the round Earth, flat Earth. If it's a simulation, the simulation is constantly creating a simulation, and it doesn't create the entire round Earth, and it doesn't create the entire flat Earth. It's just creating. So when people say that you can zoom in on a boat with a camera that's way out in sea, and it's supposed to be like 8 feet per whatever drop, and you zoom in and you can see the bottom of the boat, because people say, well, when a boat sails off, it disappears and you see the top of it, and there's a flag up there and you see the flag disappear. Mm-hmm. Well, if you zoom in with a camera, and I've seen it, you can zoom into that boat even after it's left your peripheral. I say that that's the program just creating. So it's neither flat, because if we are all living in a computer, it's not flat or round. It's creating. So,
but at some point, does it become flat around?
It can't be, because not everyone's observing.
Even if it's not finished, it's got to, at some point, the simulation's got to make it something. And but all the other things that we can observe are round.
Here's the thing.
Everything we can observe in the universe is round, though.
Here, when you look out, is what you're saying?
Or if you fly about.
If you're riding on a motorcycle and a Corvette passes you, you're not riding on a Corvette, you're riding on a motorcycle. That's just like looking out at who's to say that, like,
doesn't make any sense.
Who's to say what we're looking at out there is the same thing we're on now? And that's just me being being real. Like,
yeah.
Who's to say?
Oh, you're saying we could not be like the things we're seeing, but we can observe Earth.
Can we?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a picture of Earth that wasn't produced by NASA?
Yeah.
You have?
SpaceX has them, right?
Well, SpaceX is NASA.
Well, SpaceX is NASA.
You've never seen a real picture of the Earth, by the way. You've never had.
Everyone says they've been doctored or colored.
Listen, I'm not a flat Earth or any of that, but I will tell you behind this that you have never seen a real picture of Earth ever.
How do you know that? There's no image. Is there no image?
You know why? Because
I don't know if there is or not. That's what I'm asking.
There's not.
There's not.
I don't think there is. If somebody knows that there is, look it up. No, now that's not from NASA.
Yeah.
Or SpaceX or the International Space Station.
Well, who else would take it? Could Russia take one?
They could, but have you ever looked up a Russian space picture?
No.
Well, all of those.
But I'm telling you, I think there's
agencies are the same thing.
But why does every picture of Earth look the same?
It doesn't look the same. They've changed Earth over the years. The picture of Earth,
sounds like
it even says.
All right, here's the 4,000 best Earth images.
It even shows you in NASA. It says that it's.
There's 4,000 Earth images, not from NASA. They're not from NASA.
You know how far away you have to be from Earth to get a whole picture of Earth? That's a compilation of a bunch of Google Maps.
How far away do you have to be? Do you know? I don't know.
Halfway to the moon.
Well, we can go to the. Well, they said we could go to the moon.
I'm just saying that you've never seen a picture of Earth that's real.
Where do you come down the moon landing? Team fake or team real?
Oh my gosh! Do you want to get into that with me?
Well, I mean, yeah. I've been on both sides of the fence.
I can tell you both sides of it, though. That's my thing.
I can too.
I love flat.
You can be devil's advocate.
Listen, I love flat Earth theory. I don't believe it, because I believe that we do live on a ball that's spinning through space.
Yeah.
But that. We're just on this big ball. I do believe that, but flat Earth is fun to get into. But the problem is like crazy people get into it, and then they take it too far.
We were just getting into it to try to see. Like, I get into it trying to see. Like, what are these people thinking?
You've never seen a picture of Earth that wasn't a composite picture. There's no one shot of Earth.
I feel like some of those 4,000 images are.
I don't think so.
They look like it. They look like whole picture.
Well, yeah. You watch movies every day that show superheroes flying around and punching people out and doing all kinds of magic, and that it's the same thing.
I believe a picture of Earth does exist. I have to believe that.
I don't believe it.
There's been a lot of people in space, man. A lot.
Yeah, but you know the International Space Station is only 250 miles up. Mm-hmm. That's not even in space. That's not really even in space.
It's only 250 miles above the Earth, right?
Above the Earth.
Yeah, I knew that.
That's why when you watch, and I've seen it go over. I got into like, well, I have a thing on my phone that like beeps and goes off when the space station is going to fly over, and you look up and you see it. It looks like a real bright star, and it shoots across the sky, and that's cool. And those guys are up there, and that's awesome. But like, it's only 250 miles up. 250 miles from where we live doesn't even get me halfway to Georgia. Well, it gets me halfway to Georgia.
So you don't think from the International Space Station, how much of Earth can they see?
The other problem that I have is the cameras that they use and everything are all fisheye cameras that make everything look. This is a component of why flat earthers are like, oh, the Earth's flat because they all use fisheye lenses and blah blah blah, and it curves it. They do curve it way too much from 250 miles up. It's the fisheye lenses on those ISS things. I'll pull it up right now on here where it's like it's supposedly a real shot of the Earth while the ISS is going over, but it isn't synced up perfectly because I've seen it go over me and been watching it on my phone at the same time, and it doesn't match up. So I don't know. That sucks that they don't match it up like that. But the other thing is they don't do that because people say that when when they're shooting that stuff, they have to have a lag in case like any UFOs or whatever get in. So there's like a ton of footage on the internet where like UFOs come into view from the ISS and they cut the feed, or the camera goes meow and it moves over to the side.
Yeah.
So they do that. So it's just like everybody's all crazy about it.
So if you got the chance and you could go to space, you'd want to go and see what it looks like to?
I've been to adult space camp.
I've seen.
It wasn't camp. We don't call it camp when we're adults.
Call it adult space academy.
Space academy. Do not call it camp.
Space University. Yeah.
Space University. Yeah. It's Space Academy, okay? And I've been to Space Academy
So what did you learn there?
Oh, just all kinds of stuff, and like dudes that worked on like the Saturn V rocket and stuff.
They didn't convince you it was round?
You get to talk to them.
They didn't convince you?
No, I believe it is round. I'm just saying I like.
Oh, I like the flat, but I thought you said it was round and flat with the simulation.
In the simulation, it's round and flat because it's not real. You have to be observing it. Let's say
I can think we're in the simulation and it's round.
We get in a rocket. Well, it can't be round all the time. Nobody's observing it the entire time. Do you understand what I'm saying? But like the double slit theory, only things.
You lost me a little bit. So if everyone has to be observing to make it round, the simulation can't. The simulation's a computer. It can create a round, right? It can create the Earth.
It can.
Yeah, like it creates. It creates.
But everybody has to be looking at it. Somebody has to be observing it to be round, right?
I don't know. Wouldn't think so.
Yeah, it's not a computer program in your screen. Doesn't have behind this screen. It doesn't have every program completely on the computer ready to go behind the screen.
Right.
To link to it.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with a simulation. It's not creating the room back here. That room doesn't exist right now. If you could go back there right now and not observe the room, I know that sounds strange.
Yeah.
It would be gray waveforms. It's not conformed. It's not a real thing until you look at it.
Okay.
So everything outside these four walls right now doesn't exist. And the things that we hear outside the wall, that's going on, and somebody's observing outside. They're observing patches, and we're observing patches, and we're hearing things because everything's just.
See, I think the simulation acts like a video game. Like if you
exactly.
But if I'm not observing Mario over here, he's still over here.
No, let's take it to like Call of Duty. You're on one side of the map, and you're only observing this part. The other side doesn't
exist.
But there are people over there observing it, so it does exist.
Right.
Because you start on each end in Call of Duty and you run at each other. Let's say everybody got in a corner over here and looked this way. The computer's not rendering the rest of the map so it doesn't actually.
But somebody on Earth would be looking somewhere all the time to where
there's nobody on Earth that's looking at the curvature of the Earth like that picture you showed me of a ball. The only time that ever happened is when we went to the moon.
Yeah.
I have to use the bathroom.
Or
you've got a rant to do.
Or it's happened when more people have, because we're not the only. Well, we're the only ones that
observing things creates things, and there's no one observing the entire Earth at all right now, ever from space.
And you're saying the space station wouldn't count because it's only 250 miles.
The space station doesn't count because it's only 250 miles up, and it can only see a certain part of the Earth.
I got you. I was more seeing the. I've always had the simulation being where the simulation's created, just like a video game. And if I can't see it, it still exists. Like the AI technology has created the round Earth, the universe, all those things. They're always happening, whether we're looking at them or not. So the observational piece is it's hard for me to get my head around, because I just thought if it's created that way, and that's what it is. Just like if it was created by a creator, it's created to be round. Or if it was created by AI, it's created to be round, and the universe is created to be the universe, and the solar system is created to be our solar system, and the sun's created to be our sun, and the moon's created to be our moon. And all those things exist, whether or not I'm observing them or you're observing them or anyone out there is observing them. Once they've been created, I always have thought that was the moment of existence. Once they were created, so that's where I get a little bit lost. I like the simulation theory, and I'm behind it, but I'm just into AI generated simulation it's created a real thing. Like if an AI created this jar of mustard, whether I look at the mustard or not, the mustard exists.
You have to think that AI is us, though, and AI is us. You know why AI is us? Is because.
But I don't know we're there in the simulation yet.
No, well, let's get rid of the simulation for a second and talk about the AI as us. Is the fact that, just like what we said, we talk about things and we like things, and it puts us in an algorithm. You can almost say algorithm's almost like an AI thing, but AI is, if you start spouting things on the internet a certain way, things come to you to either outrage you.
Yeah.
Come to you so you agree with it.
Well, sure. Yeah.
That's AI. That's you creating what you want.
I created my own AI. I created my own drama by engaging all this other drama, so they fed me more drama. Or I engaged in all these fun things or this music, so they fed me more of this music.
It controls you how it wants to control you, so it can make you mad.
Or glad or
happy that day by
yeah.
feeding you. If you're hardcore going on all the time looking, and you're controlled, your feelings are controlled by how that makes you feel all day. They're controlling you like that, but you're actually controlling yourself.
Yeah, I don't understand how people get there. I don't understand how people get. If anybody out there can help me, I don't know how people get to where they can be controlled by what people say or do on the internet. Or is that bizarre to you?
I think it comes to like,
dude,
back in the day you cared like what people thought about you in town, right?
I mean, to an extent.
Whole world. Now it's like a whole world. And then you get older and I don't give a crap what anybody says about me.
I've always kind of been like, I mean, a lot of people say that. I mean, I like to be liked, and I generally put my best foot forward to like be a good person and be a good friend and that sort of thing. And I like to be liked, but if I'm not, I've always been just kind of cool with that. And the people that are supposed to be my circle, I kind of get in my circle. And
these people are doing that right here. These guys,
yeah,
they're having the best life they can. There's at least 6 of them outside.
Yeah, they're living their best life
right now, doing lightsaber work, and they're having a great time.
But I just don't know how could you.
It's hilarious.
How do people?
I actually do have a really expensive lightsaber.
It's badass. Yours is bad. You kill these guys.
20 years ago.
I'm talking, but how would people get so upset with like people's opinions on like social media? It's crazy to me. How could that bother you so much?
Social media is terrible because since social media, like, everybody sees what everybody else has and they get depressed, and there's been more like teen suicides and suicides ever since social media came into existence. Well,
yeah, because now,
I mean, I even go on TikTok and I'm flipping through and these people have these amazing kitchens and I'm just like, I'm never gonna have a kitchen like that. You know, it's like.
But does it bother you?
And it doesn't bother me. It's just like, how does this person have this kitchen? I don't have.
Well, I know. Yeah, we talked about that before, but that shouldn't. But it doesn't bother you, right? I hope not.
It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother.
I mean, I get bothered. You get bothered. Maybe it motivates you.
There's more people on TikTok that have better kitchens than me than not.
Yeah. But that shouldn't bother you. But it definitely shouldn't make you mad if somebody on TikTok with a better kitchen you had like an opinion about whatever.
Well, it doesn't matter about the kitchen. All I'm saying is like that just makes. Think about somebody that goes through there and then has nothing and sees all that.
Well, I mean, I get
and then gets upset
when I find out Bad Barbie made $50 million in one day doing OnlyFans, and I've busted my ass my whole life for $3.12, like, you know, or whatever. Like that's frustrating. But I'm not mad at Bad Barbie. I'm just like, how the fuck does this happen? Like, she made $50 million. Everyone I've ever met combined doesn't have $50 million, and I know some smart people. I mean, some hard-working people. And Bad Barbie made $50 million in one fucking day on OnlyFans. Like, that's frustrating. But I don't get mad about people's opinions. I see that, and I'm like, man, I'm like, and then I have to concede that, like, Bad Barbie. I just having this I don't remember who I was having the conversation with, but I was like, it sucks. I was like, because I had to concede that Bad Barbie is smarter than me.
Yeah.
If she wasn't, she wouldn't be able to do these things. Bad Barbie is smarter than I am, and she's more easily and more capable of navigating the new world than I am.
Right.
She made $50 million in a day. I won't make $5 million from the day I was born to the day I die. Right. It maybe if I'm lucky. And I don't have to make $50 million, but I'm saying she did.
Well, it's like the Island Boys. Like you told me the other day.
The Island Boys are smarter than me, apparently.
They turned it into a huge business.
They're smarter than me. They're smarter than you.
What do? They charge you to do the...
They charge like $380 to do cameos and be like, hey, happy birthday from the Island Boys. You have an Island Boy. And that's $380. You could do that. You could do that 100 times a day. That's $38,000 a day. Now look, and people are like, well, it won't last forever. Who gives a shit? If it lasts 4 days, you had a better run than everybody else. So
their whole lives.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
you find somebody that's.
It's a real. You got to remember though, it's a real gamble to get a bunch of face tattoos and have a weird. And not live
yeah, it's
a weird gamble.
It is. It's a different world, but it's wild. It's wild that can happen. But I think it's cool. You just got to figure. But here's the thing that it tells you. There's ways. There's more money out there than we know what to do with. Right. We don't have any of it, but there's a bunch of it out there, right? Like there's so much of it out there that they literally just printed almost all of it we've ever had in America in the last 2 years. So it's circulating around somewhere. And you can get your hands on it with an OnlyFans or a hot tub song with your brother. You don't know what's gonna take up.
You can sing about Applebee's.
Yeah, you can sing about Applebee's. And I'm not mad at the Island Boys I'm not a hater. And actually the Island Boys.
I'm not a hater. I love a good come up story. My favorite thing is like a come up story where people have nothing, and something happens, and they turn that into a different lifestyle for them and their family.
Yeah. At first, I was like, I laughed at the Island Boys like everybody my age would have done, and then I started watching them. I was like, these kids kind of have it together. I started listening to them. Like,
got something.
I'm like, they're kind of articulate. They kind of got it together. They kind of know what they're doing, and they're on their grind. And then I figured out if you go to the Island Boys Spotify or to their music, so the actual music that they have on Spotify. So I'm gonna give you this theory. They're bad. They're bad on purpose.
Right. Yes.
And I'm telling you how I know.
Now it doesn't matter if you're like.
Well, no, but let me tell you. Let me tell you though. So on TikTok, everything you're going to see from is going to be terrible, right? Like the quality of music's going to be bad, the rap's going to be bad, the flow's going to be bad, right? It's all bad, right? And everybody's laughing at them. When you go to their Spotify and pull their actual music up, guess what? It's actually good.
It is?
Yeah, it's completely. It's nothing.
It's nothing like that.
It's nothing like. It's nothing like.
They're geniuses.
It's nothing like the bad. When you go to their actual music and start playing them, shit pops.
Do you think that these kids orchestrated that?
Yes.
Or was someone else?
No.
There had to be a mentor.
I think it's them. Like they were like, "Hey, get famous by being ridiculous and bad. You've already got this good music over here. When you link people over to your music, they'll be like, "Oh shit, this is fire." So then, when you start talking about, "No, I'm a good rapper," and you rap like shit, all your people that know your real music come in. They're like, "No, they're actually good." And people are like, "You're crazy. I'm watching these guys in the hot tub. They suck." And they're like, "Yeah, we talking about Island Boy." They don't even do rap. Like 90% of their songs are anything like that. Good beats, solid beats, well produced. Like
really, I gotta listen to it.
Like I'm not saying it's like Tupac. I'm not saying it's next level, but I'm saying what they do on TikTok is really terrible, and what they actually put out, I would say, is not terrible. It's at least as good or better than anything else. Wow. Does that make sense? So I'm like, they played this whole.
That's so genius. But here's the thing. I guess I'm not their target market, and I don't do things that like a 22-year-old would do. Like I don't see the Island Boys on that, and then I start just going on the internet and looking for them.
But I'm older than you, and I get.
You did.
Yeah, because I get curious about the story.
You got a lot more time on your hands, I think, than me.
I don't know about none. You have more than
that. You get to make it to the gym every day.
You can make it to the gym every day.
I know. I used to. I could.
But no, I got intrigued by the story. The story's cool. Now look, I think they need to drop the tough guy shit because they're not tough guy. Like if you're not a tough guy, you know it's okay. It's okay, but like don't.
Well, especially now being a tough guy.
Because everybody young, when they're young, everybody wants to call you out, right? Like so, like you don't want to spend the rest of you're 20 years old. You don't want to spend the rest of your life like having to being chased by gangs and stuff that you're not really affiliated with or you're not really you. They should probably tone that down now that they've made a bunch of money. And they've also flipped it. You saw when they got famous what they did? They shaved those crazy wicks, the hair. They shaved all that off and got regular haircuts. Once they got famous and got money, boom, they shaved the ridiculous shit off. They changed the ridiculous clothes, put on pants they wanted with Nike, Air Force Ones.
That's really smart.
They flipped the whole deal. And they're 20, so like, hey, I think I'm the only person that's come up with this theory that was like, oh, they were intentionally bad to get attention. They got a shitload of attention.
This is a great theory because you're right. I think it's genius.
They were intentionally bad, right? Because all publicity is good publicity. They flipped that to put people over to their music. Their music's actually good, so they run up millions of streams. Then you come back to their TikTok to see why you can't find good music on there, and then they sell you cameos on TikTok for $380.
Oh my God.
Or they do club appearances for $50,000.
Man, I'm just telling you. I think if we would have had all this stuff in the 90s, I'm just like with like music and stuff, even like that. Here's the other thing.
If we'd had all this access to
access to all the internet and stuff in the 90s, it would have been insane.
Well, we have it now to get this podcast out.
Because like I didn't realize when YouTube first came out, because I used to buy a lot of technology stuff. I didn't know I could turn that into like a unboxing business like people have now, where that's like they unbox a product and do everything and show you exactly what it is. When's the last time you went and spent something like technology that cost over $300 that you can watch like 4 videos on?
Oh yeah.
And it's like I was right on that. I was buying the brand new Mac computers. I was buying everything that came out. I had everything.
You just weren't thinking about filming it and uploading it.
Well, YouTube really didn't exist or wasn't really on the forefront of that yet. And then people started doing it. And then like years later, I was like, oh man, I could have done this. And then like when you get big enough doing that, the companies just send you the products.
Well, now
do it once you have like so many followers. And I was like, man, I used to have all. And I know people call like seriously, honestly, like my entire from like 1999 to 2015, I had so many people call me about how to do whatever on their computer, on their Mac,
on
their PC, or do my phone this. And it's like, if I would have charged $1 for every time somebody called me, I'd have a lot of money right now.
Yeah, but you don't charge your friends like for friendly advice.
It was a lot of people.
Start charging people around that's the beauty of the internet.
It was a lot of people that did that though.
Well, now you have the podcast. We need to get the Island Boys on. We need to get Aaron Carter on. If we get the Island Boys and Aaron Carter on, it's up. It's up.
It's like on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure where he says, we have to have a triumphant video. And he's like, well, we have to have Eddie Van Halen before we have a triumphant video. And he's like, we won't have a triumphant video until we have Eddie Van Halen. And they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
We got to get the Island Boys on.
I don't think getting the Island Boys would be quite as tricky as getting Eddie Van Halen. Like,
you think? They have a number. They have a price. What do you think their price is?
Probably $20,000.
$20,000
for a podcast, $10,000. It depends how cool. Like I don't know though. I don't think like Jake Paul then paid him, but Jake Paul's got a massive podcast.
So anyway, Ray has a Venmo or whatever on the TikTok. You could send us money so we can get them on.
You could Venmo 20,000 and we'll go ahead.
Just Venmo 20,000.
Here's what I'll do though. Once we get to 10,000 followers, I will work to try to get the Island Boys and Aaron Carter on via Zoom. I'm being realistic.
Zoom would be cool.
Being realistic, I think I could reach out and get them to agree, because neither one of we're not.
I'm gonna give it to them straight.
A lot of the podcasts though are there to like talk shit about those, and I wouldn't be.
And I wouldn't be. I would totally be like, you really did something, and even though like how weird and like how like strange it was that you did it, people talk about you.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, they knew when the minute it got so mad with all, they both got to like 5 million followers. They're like, oh, we're gonna go ahead and cut these wicks off now. Like, that's your whole thing. But they know it was goofy, so they just cut it, ding, ding, and now they got like lined out.
When do you think? What is it? When $1 million hits your bank account?
Oh, I mean, they had far more than that, I think.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, there were bands in the 90s that didn't know they were famous and because there was no internet.
Yeah.
And they would get back home and the people were just nuts and they were like, I guess we made it.
Yeah, what happened?
What happened?
That was the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Like that.
Yeah.
Come off the big tour and you step into a different world.
Yeah, these bands are touring around. They have no idea. They just did like a tour across America, and they get home and they have no idea that they're the biggest thing on the planet.
Or you hear the stories of like their album goes #1 while they're like, they had no idea it was doing
#1.
They had no idea it was doing anything, and you come back and
I just got the weekly readings.
Yeah.
Last week you were 2. Now you're 1.
I see.
I don't know. Now everything's so instantaneous because when you're on the phone, you want instant gratitude. These kids want instant gratitude. People that are younger than us want to get jobs and have instant gratitude and move up.
They want to make the same salary.
The thing is if you're really good at your job, to be honest with you, kids, is that you're going to stay right there because if you don't own part of the company and you're a banger at your job, they ain't moving you anywhere. You're doing that job you do so well.
Yeah, you do it really well.
They're not going to move you up.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
That's pretty much how it works. That's how it's supposed. I mean, that's the only way. Like, it sucks. The system sucks, but that's the only way. That's the only way the machine can roll around, right?
I'm going to the mic camera. I'm going to talk directly to the children that need jobs.
Mm-hmm. Right. Go ahead.
Listen up. If you want to have something, you go to that job where you do so great at it, and you learn everything about that job. And you stay there for 10 years, and then you open up your own place just like that. And you use all the things you learned from that job to create your business. And that's it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
That works. I did that, and then I decided to go. I did that myself, and then I decided to stop being self-employed and go back and work for people because there's a lot of stress.
I've done that too.
Yeah.
When you're self-employed and you own, because I've owned businesses and stuff, and like sometimes you just get to the point where you're like, I would really just like to pull a paycheck right now.
Man,
and let somebody worry about everything else.
It's weird how stuff like that goes. When you're working for somebody else, you're like, all I want to do is work for myself, and then you work for yourself. You're like, man, I kind of like the security of knowing I was going to get paid, because sometimes when you're self-employed, you don't get paid at all.
Everybody gets paid, and you get paid last.
Everyone gets paid but you, or everyone gets paid, and you have to go draw from a credit line to pay stuff. That's the nature of business.
And you've got to put up with everybody in that business talking about how much money you have when you have nothing.
Yeah. Everyone thinks you're rich.
Oh, he owns it. He's got everything. It's like, I need you to work this extra hour because it means.
But you actually end up working, and you end up working more when you're self-employed. But it is super gratifying. It is super gratifying.
Well, when I worked at Walmart, I realized I never wanted to have a boss ever again.
Well, that's how corporate America. That's why I can't do corporate America. That's what in a situation where
when I was going to college.
Deal with if you're not going to be self-employed. If you're not going to be self-employed, do your best to deal with people you can be like partners, or deal with smaller companies that treat people well. Situations like that are really good. But the corporate America is the worst thing in the world. Like, it's the worst thing in the world. I can't think of a worse way to die.
I deal with in my business with the trucking. I deal with really big corporations. I mean,
but you don't have to work for one, so that's you have the same kind of situation. Even better, you work with family, but
I don't have to work with people off of the street. But when I had like pizza place and I had a taco place. People coming in off the street are nuts. And after I did those places, I said I would never, ever
do something with the public again.
Something with the public ever again. I'd have people come in there and say the craziest shit to me, and I was just like, "You're crazy."
Oh yeah, the public's crazy. Even if it's only about, I think it's probably 3 or 4% that are crazy, but If you're dealing with, let's say, 100 people a day, that's 3 crazy people you dealt with every day. 15 a week, it starts making you think everybody's fucking crazy, right? It starts making you think, God, everyone's nuts.
When you deal in the corporate world like I do, where you drive trucks to places that are huge corporations and they pay you, and you're dealing with somebody that is in like, sitting at a desk all day doing all the payroll and everything, you're dealing with corporate people. So you write emails to them and they write emails back and everything's just so cut and dry. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's not, I can go to Taco Bell and get a burrito for $2.99 and your burritos are $7.99. And it's like, well, ma'am, our burritos are, we make them and it's all the best. It's better than Taco Bell meat and all the vegetables have been picked up.
And it's huge. It's 5 times the size.
And it weighs 2 pounds and we're frying your chips right now for you, ma'am, and you're going to get all that for $8 with a drink. Go to Taco Bell, please.
Yeah.
Go to Taco Bell and get that burrito.
So that's just what the public is. It just wore you out, though, huh?
It wore me out. It
See,
actually,
corporate.
It actually killed like everything I ever had. Like every part of me that thought like human beings were great. It killed me.
Here's what you have to accept. You have to say, they're not mad at me, and they're not smart enough to realize why they're mad. They're just mad at Mike's Burritos, and I can't take anything personal about what anybody feels about Mike's Burritos. If you take that's how I've been dealing with the public so long. That's had to be my approach for everything. Like, if they're like, I'll fucking whip your ass, I'm like, man, they really want to whip this place's ass. I just try to take myself out of the equation.
With the pizza place, this lady called one night, and we were closing. And it was like, I don't know, it's like 10:30, we're closing.
Yeah.
And we did have delivery, and she lived way out in the sticks. And she was like, I want to get a 2 large blah, blah, blah with this and deliver it out here. And I was like, well, ma'am, we're closing like 5 minutes. We're not delivering out. Because our other thing was we delivered way far out for people. And we told them over the phone, we were like, look, if we're going to deliver out to the sticks to you, I can't guarantee the pizza's going to be piping hot when it gets to you.
Yeah, it's 20 miles.
Even though I bought the bags that they plugged in and kept them warm, it's like you're going 20 miles. And that takes a lot of time. So we did that, though. That was a lot of our business.
Yeah, sure.
Going out to the sticks. But, this lady was like, how am I supposed to feed my family tonight?
That's your fault, right?
That's my fault?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You should have thought this through more about how she's going to be, when she's last minute, how she's going to feed her family.
The other thing was like, well, ma'am, you said you live here, and the biggest town from you is 5 minutes away. It has everything that you could get to feed your family.
Yeah. There's a Walmart there.
It's 10:30. There's like a Walmart.
This is pre-COVID, so it's open.
It's all kinds of stuff, and it's open all night. Just
McDonald's is a Waffle House.
Sorry that I can't deliver pizza to you in 30 minutes.
At 10:30.
It's at 10:30 at night, and it's warm for your kids.
Yeah. Well, they figure she throws you the kid curveball. You're gonna be like,
let me make that pizza real quick for you, man. I'm gonna bring it out myself.
She didn't realize you fucking hate kids.
She didn't realize I hate kids. And the other thing I hated was the only reason I was there at 10:30 was because all my employees would make pizzas and take them home without paying for them.
So you would come there at night.
I would come there at night and be like, "Who made these pizzas? Okay, pay me for them." And they would get like half off.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Give me half." And we made there would always be pizza stacked up, and I'm like, "Man, I'm getting robbed blind."
If they know they're gonna. If they know you're not coming, they're not paying half price for those pizzas more than likely.
Taking them home.
Yeah.
And hoping I don't do inventory.
Well, I'm glad you got out of that, and I guess we'll pick up more on the pizza calls and conversation next week, or not? No, this week. You got a lot going on, but whenever you get back home,
yep.
We'll
all right.
We'll talk to y'all later.